I was once morbidly obese, struggling with life and not realizing that I had ADHD and autism. Join me as I share my story of what it was like to be morbidly obese and neurodivergent and face all the judgments that I did, and then take back control and then birth Make It Happen program. Hey everybody, my name is Jackie Grant. Let's get into all about my journey as someone that was morbidly obese, how I took back control of my life, and the changes that I made. This book shows the photos of me. Yes, they are all me. You can see how big I was. This book, Life Beyond Obesity, which will get a bit of a rewrite. And it said here how I released 105 kilos, and we actually played that down a little bit. At my heaviest, I was 170 kilos. Like, that's at my absolute heaviest, worst, hey. And I had a lot of people saying to me for years, as the weight was going on, getting higher and higher, it's like, you've got to lose weight. It's like, you're going to have a heart attack. And I knew this. As a nurse, I knew this. But it felt like no matter what I did, the weight would come off a little bit and it wouldn't stay. I have done the grapefruit diet. I have done Atkins. I've done so many different eating plans. I have done the point where I remember my partner at the time and I wanted to remind the kids that takeout or junk food was full of fat and sodium, and that we wanted to encourage them to be healthier. And so what we did, it was a crazy thing. We found out, and I'm talking over 20 years ago, we did this. We found out in a Big Mac, because that's what the kids usually liked, was a Big Mac. And we found out how much fat was in it. And then we found out how much salt was in it and how much sugar was in it. And we then put aside the salad part, because the salad part was okay, right? And a little bit of meat was okay. But we really wanted to do a full-on educational live, like see it in front of you, understanding how much actual fat, sugar and salt was in it. Now, we didn't have a lot of money. We were I was the only one that was working at the time, and we really didn't have a lot of money coming in. I was only working part-time, and we had at any given time we would have 4 to 5 kids with us. So takeout was like something that was, it was hard to deliver on with that many kids and not a lot of money. So money was tight, but we were determined to do this experiment and teach the kids all about nutritional content in the food. But it was also a reminder for both of us, because we didn't mind McDonald's every so often either. Now, at this point, I do believe my weight was maybe around 100 kilos. So yeah, I was overweight, but not completely morbidly obese. So we literally worked it out. We did some research and we worked out that it was this many grams of fat. And we got margarine. We got the cheapest margarine that we could buy for this, because we didn't want to use it again, with the highest fat content. Like, we found the best option that we could use to demonstrate in a bowl exactly how much Like we said, the fat content in that burger is equal to the fat content in this bowl of margarine, right? Butter, we didn't use butter, we used margarine, but we found that, think of it as oil was another way, but oil didn't kind of have the same impact as the margarine. We tried that. Now then what we did is we did the same thing in a bowl for sugar and for salt. And we know that there's a few chemicals in there as well, but we couldn't have a benchmark for that. We're at home, we're doing this. We sat it in front of the kids and we said, so sure, you can have this Big Mac, and you're all complaining about, your fitness and blah, blah, blah. And they were in primary school, but senior primary school. So we're talking year 6 and year 5. And then we had a younger one, and we didn't get him overly involved. And then the older one was in secondary school. And we sat the kids down and we shared this in front of them. And we said, so this is your choice. Now, what worked for me was I looked at the margarine. I'm like, oh gosh, I wouldn't sit there. And we said to the kids, would you combine all of this and mix it together and then add some flavors, because we're going to let you have flavors, right? And then a bit of salad. Would you eat all of that? And they went, oh no. And they were nearly sick. And I'm nearly sick thinking about this. So what happened is, from that moment on, whenever I looked at food, I literally went back to those images of the margarine and this sugar and this salt. And I'm like, there's no way I would eat just that. Now, admittedly, there's a different context, right? But with my autism traits, it actually worked, because I'm like, there's literally that in this. Sure, there's some bun, like we incorporated the bun, the meat, the salad we didn't incorporate in this exercise, but we incorporated the meat, the bun, and how it was cooked, how the meat was cooked. And the salad, yes, we kept to the side. So I'm like, when I eat this meat, I'm eating that. So it worked for me from a literal perspective of actually seeing this and going, oh my gosh. Now, also being literal and being ADHD, I guess my mind took it to the next level, so that every time we were out, so we went to the shopping center on a regular basis with the kids, and we go, all right, who wants ice cream? Because we were super cool. We were like, yeah, you can have ice cream. You can have this, knowing it's full of sugar. There's no nutritional content in that. But what happened for me is that over the years, right? So that was the first point of me making some changes. Over the years, and then that relationship ended, and I, learned and grew a bit more as a person, I started breaking things down even more. And then there reached a point where I ended up in hospital. And I ended up in hospital, and I share this story in this book, and I share it elsewhere as well. Because one day I came home from work and I just didn't feel quite right, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Now, I would still eat pizza with the kids. I would eat whatever they ordered in on a Friday night. I would eat some of that. And I had a really bad habit on a Friday, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But let me share the story with you that was this landmark change story. It's what set off the catalyst for change for me. Okay, so the day that changed my entire life and I took back control of my health was really scary. So what happened was, I had come home from work. I wasn't feeling well. My younger son had already cooked his dinner. The older one was hanging out waiting for me to see, maybe we'd cook something together, maybe we'll get something. And I just said to him, no, I just think I'll have a coffee. I just don't feel well. I'm just going to go to my room and watch a bit of TV, just chill. And he goes, yeah, okay, sure, if things change, just let me know. And I was standing making this coffee, and I noticed that my Fitbit was, and we're talking over 8 years ago, was vibrating a little bit. And I was like, what is going on? Like, what is going on? Anyway, I looked at it and my heart rate was up, and I just didn't feel right. I felt a little bit sweaty, and it was July, and the heater was not on, so it's not like I was really hot. It was a 40-degree day or something, and I'm like, I just don't feel right. And so I went down and sat in my room for a bit, and then I was irritable. I couldn't sit still. Now, at this moment in time, I thought I maybe had ADHD, but I didn't have. I didn't go into it a lot more. My weight is sitting at probably around 160 kilos at this point, give or take, depending on the day. And I had certain habits that were my routine, which if you changed my routine, autism traits, if you changed my routine, I didn't cope. So anyway, I'm coming back out and I'm like, I'm irritable. And then I said to my son, as we're standing in the kitchen, to the older one, I said, something's not right. I said, something's not right. My heart rate is going up. We need to call an ambulance. I'm getting short of breath telling you this. So I told him what to say. Now, being a nurse, I knew exactly what to tell him, and that would then help them send the right ambulance. I thought I was I'm going to have a heart attack. So what I said to him is, I'm going to just go and sit in this room here. I'm not going to move. I'm just going to sit here. I took a container because I was feeling nauseous, and I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and focus on my breathing and remind myself I'm okay and try and relax. It was these are the images of where I was at this point, especially this one. This was where I was at on that day. So I'm sitting. We had an ambulance there pretty quick, and then we had a second ambulance pretty quick. They walk in and my heart rate, they put the monitor on and my heart rate was sitting at 120, and I'm sitting on the couch going, I'm calm, all is good. Okay, I probably didn't believe it, but that's where I was. So as things progressed, my heart rate kept going up. At one point it was like 140. They're sitting there going, we're going to have to do this procedure that, so it's basically blowing into a syringe. I can never say the name of it. And what it does is it puts this pressure, and it's almost like a bearing as you're pushing out, trying to push the plunger out of the syringe. You're taking a lot of conscious effort, and it can revert the heart rate. So they've got the monitor on me. They've got a second ambulance, and my kids are standing there. And I'm just looking over, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm looking over at my kids, and one's holding the dog, and I saw the fear in their eyes and the worry. And then I looked at the ambulance people and I saw the worry on theirs, and I saw them starting to get medications out, and needles and things ready. They put an IV in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I might just die. As in, I might die. Anyway, so the first time we tried, and I felt this pop, that's the best way I can explain it, and I felt good, whoosh, my heart rate went up to like 180. It's like, oh shoot, that wasn't the word we used. But so he said to me, okay, so we're just going to rest for a minute, we're going to do it one more time. If we can't revert your heart this way and get it to stop going up, we are going to have to potentially shock you, but also give you medication, and there is a risk that we would stop the heart completely and not get you back because of your weight. This is really risky. I'm getting a bit emotional. I was like, I'm gonna die. My kids, I'm gonna leave my kids. Like, who's gonna look after oh yeah, they have a dad, I know, but no, I'm not ready to die. I'm crying. And I remember looking over at my kids thinking, I can't. And I prayed. My dad's no longer here, but often if I get really scared, I go, Dad. And I'm like, please. whatever it takes, I promise I will do whatever it takes to get rid of this weight so that I can actually live. But just let me live through this moment. And my heart rate was going up and I was actually feeling worse. I wasn't crying at that time. I'm crying now, but I wasn't crying because I was so scared. And when you have what they call SVT, so it's sinus ventricular tachycardia, your heart rate just keeps going up until they can convert it. Now, I had some aspects of my nursing qualifications going through my head as well, and I'm like going, yes, if they shock me, if they do medication to try and stop it and revert and all of that, I might not die, I might not come back if my heart stops because I am morbidly obese. It's going to be a lot harder because of the weight, that my heart is always under constant stress because of the weight that I'm carrying. Good news, I'm here. Like, obviously there was a good end to the story. So it took one more go. Good news, they didn't need to shock me. They didn't need to give me medication. They basically pushed blowing into the syringe to try and push the plunger part out, managed to do that, managed to convert it, got it down to around 100. Everybody was happy with that. They did give me some medication. I'm not sure what that was. Now I can't remember. I knew at the time. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, sure. My blood pressure was high, so it was a trip to the hospital. They went between, is it an atrial fibrillation or SVT, so the sinus ventricular tachycardia. Spent several hours at the hospital, and the longer I was at the hospital, we had some IV fluids up. I started to feel better, and that was the end of that. Had the next couple of days off work just to rest, contemplate. I got up the next day. It was a Wednesday that occurred. I got up on the Thursday and I researched bariatric surgery because I'd heard of people having it. I didn't necessarily agree with it, but I'm like, I have to do something. So let's learn all about that. So in my hyper-focused ADHD state, I researched everything I possibly could around bariatric surgery. What goes wrong with it? What goes right? What are the stats? I got in touch with the university, so on and so forth. I then found a company called BeFit Foods, and they were relatively new at that time. They had a little storefront. So I said, can I come down and speak with you, because it might be a starting point, but I want to check what your food actually is, what you're doing. I want to talk to somebody. I don't want to just order this food and then come and pick it up. So I went down there and I talked to them about it, and I saw their food and I looked at it and I went, well, yeah, I've tried nearly everything else. I can afford to try this. Let's give it a go. So that was what I did. But I then spoke to someone else, not knowing their connection to this. And I said, look, I've been thinking of having bariatric surgery, possibly the sleeve, because you still have your stomach. And this seems to be the better option long-term for your overall health and well-being, because there's risks with anything, right? And they said, and I said, I've been researching this particular surgeon, and they said, yes, he is very good. And so then I got to speak to some of his patients just through having this conversation, and they told me the positives, the negatives, all of that. So I continued to research, because then I wanted to talk to the nurses that had possibly worked with him, because, they get to see the technique. Obviously anything they shared to me wasn't going to be, wasn't going to go any further. So I made the decision at that moment in time, bariatric surgery it is. So I made an appointment for this surgeon, and he did a scope. So they do a gastroscopy to check the stomach, to check everything else. He came back to me and said, you have a massive hiatus hernia. And I went, oh, okay, thanks. Does that explain the reflux? And he went, 100% it does. And he said, but what's also concerning is that there's aspects of your stomach that has had so many ulcers in there that the tissue's literally died. You don't have a healthy stomach at this moment. And I said, does that mean you can't do the surgery? He said, no, I can do the surgery. And by doing the surgery, we're going to give you a smaller stomach, which is the sleeve gastrectomy, or And he said, and it will be, we're aiming for the healthier tissue. And I said, great. And he said, so therefore then having healthier tissue in your stomach means it can do its job properly and will fix a hernia as well. However, you have a choice. You can go and see another gastroenterology surgeon who will actually do the same type of thing. The difference will be that we provide you with dietitian support and we refer you to a counsellor. He said, or you can just go and do all of that separately. I said, well, I'm here now with you if you're confident that you can do it. So I signed on the dotted line. For my happy 50th birthday, was booking in for bariatric surgery and spending the money that it cost. So with that, I went ahead and had the surgery, and at the time of surgery, I was 120 kilos. So I had let go of like 40 kilos myself over about 6 months, and I had worked damn hard at it. I had become hyper-focused and I documented everything. What were my goals? Why was this important? I documented all of this. I documented, and some of these are the strategies that are in the Make It Happen program. We're going to get into that in a minute. So I documented from the time I had that episode of SVT, they decided to call it SVT in the end, because I had other tests on my heart and I didn't have AF. So good news, just an episode of SVT, but I never wanted that again. So I documented every step I took, and I coached myself through this because I was a coach at that time. So as we progressed over time, I went from my highest weight before the bariatric surgery, so 4 months before the bariatric surgery, 6 months, because that was the June that episode occurred, and we had the surgery in December. And then for about 12 months after that, so I'd gone from effectively over 160 kilos all the way through to 54 kilos. Now, right at this moment in time, my weight sits around the 60 kilo mark, and that's good for me. Sometimes it'll go up a little bit, sometimes it'll go down. This is normal for weight. So I then decided that as I was releasing this weight and I felt good, I wanted to make sure that the surgery, which was one tool, was going to work for me long term. I was making the best use of that tool and that kickstart. And that's then where all I learnt, and then ongoing training and education to become a personal trainer, and also to become study nutrition, I was able to start putting together the Make It Happen program. Make It Happen program, as I said, became birthed out of me documenting my journey to releasing excess weight. But there's aspects in the program that does talk about nutrition, it does talk about exercise and mindfulness, and that is really important. But one of the biggest parts of the program is the ownership of where you're at right now. So I had to own that at my worst, I was tired, I wasn't living a quality life, I was looking outside myself to be happy and for validation outside of myself. So Make It Happen program, when I first put it together, was a 12-month program where the person had regular phone calls. Like it was about $1,200 back then. It was birthed in 2018, just to give you context. So it was a weekly check-in coaching call. There was some online content, and we just moved through. I found that people after about 3 to 6 months were like, the calls started being missed, things like that. So we've now created to be an online program that you get audios that talk you through the different aspects of what's important for long-term change. Once you have the basics for food changes and exercise changes and mindfulness changes, the rest of that is easy. The hardest part is sticking with it. And the reason why a lot of people don't stick with it, the reason why a lot of people gain weight back after weight loss surgery or doing a 12-week course, like there's people out there, they've got, fit challenges and things like that. And I have seen people I know go through all these amazing challenges. They've done all the different programs. Oh yeah, at my local gym, they've got me doing this program. It's amazing. Good. You're with the people, you get motivated. But there's core issues there's core aspects, not issues, core aspects to why long-term change doesn't happen. And that's what we cover in Make It Happen program, because as you can see, we're over 8 years on and I have not gained the weight back. Like, sure, I gained back a few kilos, but trust me, I needed to. I'm not over 60 kilos. And that's good for my body. Like you can see my clavicle here. You can see I'm not overweight. So Make It Happen program goes deeper than we don't even tell you what foods to eat. The program is designed to get you to come back to the core essence of you and reconnect and rediscover what's important for you, and to look at your boundaries, to look at your behaviors in your choices. So do you people please? Do you look outside for validation? We look at the purpose of creating the change, and people come and go, I want to get my eating habits under control. Great. So we look at why you're eating what you're eating now. Why are you making that choice? It's a judgment-free space because it's you doing the work. So we take you through strategies around setting goals properly that you're going to, tapping into your internal motivator and inspiration. Because there's external motivators, there's internal motivators, there's external inspiration, there's internal inspiration. Often the inspiration is more internal, but you might watch something and be totally inspired. So that's an external trigger for your inspiration to create change. The purpose or the why is really important, and we dive into that a bit more. Now, there are other aspects of the program, which obviously I'm not going to share with you here right now, but Make It Happen program, we set it as a 12-week program, but we really give you around 18 to 20 weeks of content. And the beauty of this is we give you access to it for 12 months. So you can come back as you're ready. The idea of the audios means that you get the email, you log in, you listen to the audio. So you can be playing the audio while you're doing dinner. Because we're not doing any form of meditation, you can play it while you're driving. We're keeping them relatively short so that you get to just listen to it, take that bit. And then we've got the book, Make It Happen book, which we encourage you to work through. So you're going to do some work. But the reason this works, the reason Make It Happen program works is because one, I take myself through it on a regular basis. And two, these strategies are not just around your health, fitness, and well-being. These are life strategies. You are empowering yourself. We ask you the question and then you get real with the answer. And anything that you want to change in life, especially around your health, your fitness, and your well-being, is going to take energy. It's going to take time. It's going to take commitment. It's going to take all of those. But when you do invest in it, you are investing in you for the long term. I have had people that have done the program back in 2018 when it was slightly different. I've had people that did it a little bit. Now we had to have a break from it, like not advertise it at all, purely because of another job I had. There was a conflict of interest because I was doing health coaching for a different company. I couldn't be seen to be promoting mine. In the program Make It Happen, in the online section, you can go down to additional resources and tools, and we put in coaching where you can pay for a coaching session with me. Now we do have Make It Happen Platinum version, which includes 3 one-hour coaching sessions with me, and that obviously costs a lot more. But we wanted a program that was easy access to you. You have 12 months access to it. We send you out a reminder around 6 months and then 9 months of how are you going, just so you know you can come back. Because often we do these things and when we're not getting the regular reminders because life gets busy, we forget. So check it out today. Make It Happen program is if you're wanting to improve your well-being, your fitness, take back control of your eating habits, and releasing excess weight can occur as part of this program. The content is there. You just got to do a little bit of work, but we guide you through the action steps and accountability to help you set up with new habits, because you are going to release some old habits, and that's just part of the transition. But what you'll do is create things that you will then naturally do in other aspects of your life. These tools and strategies aren't just about health and well-being or weight loss, they're more. So why not check it out today? The price is $188 and payment plan is available. It's an investment in you. It's a program that is so worth your time. You've got this. I believe in you. I really do. And remembering you can go from obesity to health and well-being. You don't necessarily need bariatric surgery. You may choose to do bariatric surgery. That should be a very well researched and informed decision for what's right for you. I did it because I felt I had nothing left, and as it turns out, I was right. My stomach wasn't functioning properly, so a surgeon had to do something about it. I had stomach issues for a long time before the bariatric surgery, and sometimes I have stomach issues still now. It's just part of my anatomy. But for me, bariatric surgery was a tool, okay? I know a lot of people, and the stats show a lot of people, I think it's around 40% of people that have bariatric surgery start to gain the weight back at some point because they didn't change their habits, they didn't change what they're doing. They started with eating less food. Eventually they've stretched their stomach. They've been able to eat the same amount. There have been a lot of amazing success stories as well, but the surgery is one tool, okay? So yes, I own it. I had the surgery, but I've kept my weight off because of the long-term changes that I've made. And that's what Make It Happen program is all about, those long-term changes and strategies. You are worth that.